Hello friends, welcome to StudyIQ. Today we have a new topic for you about Trans-Pacific Partnership, and it is a very recent advancement in the economic sphere, and it includes countries which are situated in the rim of Pacific Ocean. This course has been brought to you by StudyIQ, and I am Rohit. I am from Bhubaneswar. Today I will be giving you this lecture on Trans-Pacific Partnership. So let's start. TPP includes member countries who are 12 in members, but initially in 2006 it had only 5 members, and then it was called the TPSCP or Trans-Pacific Strategic and Economic Partnership or Pacific 454. It included members such as USA, Brunei, Chile, New Zealand and Singapore, total 5. Then again in 2008 Australia, Canada, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, Peru and Vietnam joined the group, and the total number came to be 12, and they after 5 years of negotiations, and in June 2015 the US Congress authorized Barack Obama to move ahead with TPP, which was known as Trans-Pacific Partnership, including these 12 members. Okay, and on October 5, 2015, last year, formal agreement was signed between these 12 members, which gave a formal starting up of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And in this map we can see all the members. The member countries are marked in yellow color. We have Canada, United States, Mexico, Peru, Chile, and on the Asian side we have Japan, Vietnam, Brunei, Singapore, Malaysia and Australia and New Zealand. Australia and New Zealand are part of Oceania continent. Okay, it's a very trivial thing. Most of the students, they don't know that Australia and New Zealand, they are part of Oceania. The TPP is also called as the economic arm of US, which is trying to rebalance the Asian economic sphere. In Asia, Russia and China, these are the two big players. Okay, and Russia, though it is situated in the Asian continent, it is considered as a European nation, as the capital of Russia, Moscow, it falls under European Union. Okay, so in Asia, the biggest player is China. So to rebalance the equation, so it is being called as the economic arm of USA. It is a new generation integration program, and it looks beyond goods and services. Okay, it also has provisions for investments, intellectual property, labor, environmental standards and non-tariff barriers. Okay, it's not only a simple treaty which deals in only goods and services. It is much more than that. It is also called as the first major step after the European Union, and European Union is a major economic sphere, and is a group of 27 countries. It was 28, but recently Britain has exit from the European Union, so the number is 27 now. So it is being considered as the first major step after European Union. And one of the big criticisms against TPP is that it is a highly secretive group, and the member countries, they always prefer sitting behind closed doors and taking and forming policies. So within the member countries there also has been a lot of protests, and protests have been to increase the transparency in working of the TPP. So now let's look upon some of the facts of TPP. The TPP countries, they constitute nearly 40% of the total GDP of the world, and around 33 or 1/3 of the total population of the world. So it is economically and demographically, it has a lot of importance. And agreement, this TPP has provisions for agreements to phase out a lot of tariffs, that is small tariffs which are different in different countries. So if they all come under a common economic umbrella, so this tariffs will be phased out. Concessions in agriculture and new market for dairy and sugar industry will also be opened. Concessions in agriculture, how? if these members, the Southeast Asian nations and USA, they both are leading agricultural producers, okay, in the world. So if they all come under a common economic umbrella, so these agricultural produce can be exported to non-TPP members at a lower price. So this will give a competition to countries like India, who are not a member of TPP, and same goes for dairy and sugar. And the TPP is strongly aiming to improve the small and medium scale industries, okay, SME. And Southeast Asian nations, they are not industrialized to that extent as of USA, and the South American countries like Peru, Chile, they're also developing countries. So in developing countries, there is a lot of concentration of small and medium scale enterprises, okay. So if under TPP they have a provision that these developing countries, they will be supporting the SME, and this will bring economic development in those member countries. There are certain temporary safeguards in the form of capital control. Capital control will manage the volatility in capital inflows. Let us understand how. Suppose consider a country which has a lot of foreign direct investments coming into it. So if there is a lot of investments coming into it, the domestic currency of that country, it will be revaluated. That means it will be costlier, okay. So this revaluation will help the importers, okay. It will be cheap to import products from outside. So for instance, if in this situation there is a case of bankruptcy or any economic crisis comes into the country, what will happen? The investors who have invested money into the country, they will just take back their monies. They will take out their money and they will invest it somewhere else. So what this will lead? This will lead to a high volatility in the trade market. That means the country which was dependent on imports, and this will suddenly the imports will be costlier, and the domestic currency will be devaluated. And I think this is the pure example of this case is the East Asian crisis of 1997, okay. So this is a very big issue under TPP. And as discussed earlier, the macroeconomic cooperation has to be strengthened, and this also includes the exchange rates, okay. One thing is coming up that Malaysia and Vietnam, okay, these two countries are member of ASEAN, APEC, that is Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, and TPP. So these two countries will have a lot cheaper access to USA and other markets. So these two countries will be giving a lot of competition to India. Though these countries are under BIMSTEC, they are partner with India even, but these two countries are also members in these three bigger organizations, okay. So this will have a lot more access to US and other markets. So what are the compromises and negotiations that have been discussed under TPP? First of all, it is pharmaceuticals, and they have been the members have agreed to protect the drug makers of these companies in a span of 5 to 8 years, but by USA demanded that it should be 12 years, but they have agreed upon 5 to 8 years. That is, the drug makers will be given some soaps, they will be giving some additional benefits in these 5 to 8 years to acclimatize them into the common TPP economic environment. Secondly, it's automobiles, and USA and other TPP members have agreed to phase out the tariffs on Japanese automobiles, and they have agreed that 45% of the components that are being used in automobiles should come from the TPP members, okay. And this phasing out should be done in a span of 25 to 30 years, okay. Then third is the opening up of internet data transfer, and there will be no blocking of cross-border data transfer. Fourth is uniform labor and environmental laws as per International Labour Organization, that will be standard across all the members of TPP. And lastly, the commitments under the TPP are to be enforceable under the treaty's dispute settlement mechanism. That is, the members have to comply to the policies that are being formed under TPP, and they will not be able to cede away, okay. So it is legally enforceable under the treaty's dispute settlement mechanism. What are the sectors that have been included under TPP? First of all, it is greater market access in goods and services. Goods and services, obviously the 12 members countries will be having access to market of each other. Secondly, it's IPR or intellectual property rights. It will be easier for the member countries to transfer intellectual property or technology from each other to improve the manufacturing processes and bring economic growth. Third is foreign investment. It will be easier for the member countries to procure foreign investment from the developed member countries, and it will bring a uniform growth in both the countries. The members will be having a uniform competition policy, okay, and it will ensure that no country becomes a hindrance in the growth of the other member country. Fifth is strict environmental laws are to be followed, and strict environmental laws will ensure that sustainability is being maintained along with the economic growth that is to be achieved. Labor laws have to be followed as per the guidelines of the International Labour Organization, and it will act as a safeguard for the human resources that are going to be used under TPP. Okay. Seventh is the state-owned enterprises. Countries like Peru, they have state-owned enterprises or government-controlled manufacturing units. So these government-controlled manufacturing units have also been included under the TPP. There is a new importance of e-commerce in these countries, and with digital connectivity, this e-commerce has gained a lot of importance. Competitiveness and supply chain management has also been a new area, and this continuous supply chain will be detrimental in trade and economic functions. Okay, government procurement have to be kept in mind that all the necessary government procurements that are possible to be procured from these 12 member countries have to be procured from these TPP member countries. Okay, technical barriers to the trade have to be reduced, and transparency in healthcare and pharmaceuticals has to be improved. Okay, and this will help in bringing down the costs of the various medicines for these member 12 countries only. And regulatory coherence has to be reduced, and a uniform rules and regulations have to be formulated for these 12 member countries, by which the trading and economic activities will become smoother. So let's discuss what are the implications of Trans-Pacific Partnership or TPP on India. It is being said that Indian exports to these 12 countries will be affected, and this will amount to approximately $2.7 billion US per year. Okay, and India's leadership potential to be hampered, and India is and as we have discussed earlier under BIMSTEC and all, India is playing a big brother role, and India's leadership will be hampered in sectors such as textiles, services, outsourcing and digital trade. Okay, and this will also reduce India's attractiveness for foreign investments, as this 12 countries except USA, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, these are developed countries, and the rest remaining 8 countries, they are developing in nature. So if these all form a group, so the developing countries will be benefited from the developed countries in the group only. So it will reduce the attractiveness of India, okay, for foreign investments. US accounts for nearly 30 to 35% of garment exports from India. So the Trans-Pacific Partnership will affect India in 2 ways. Firstly, it is the TPP countries will be getting a preferential treatment during trade. Okay, as we discussed earlier, the Indian leadership in textiles has been hampered. Okay, so the TPP member countries such as Vietnam, Malaysia, okay, they have a lot cheaper market, lot cheaper labor market. So if they get preferential treatment, India's trade and exports will be hampered. Secondly, is a yarn forwarding rule is to get duty preference. Yarn forwarding rule means that the member countries who will be procuring the or exporting the textiles, they will have to procure raw materials from these member countries only. Okay, and if they procure the raw materials from these member countries, they will be given some swaps in duty and tariffs. Okay, so for example, if Australia, there is a garment manufacturing unit, and India and Vietnam, India is not a member of TPP and Vietnam is a member of TPP. Okay, so if Australia wants to export the finished garment into USA and it it orders yarn from Vietnam and India, so Vietnam will be getting trade and duty preference, okay, than India. That means if if Australia procures yarn from India, then India will have to pay nearly 14 to 32% of duty, whereas if it procures yarn from Vietnam, which is a member of TPP, it will have to pay less duties. That means it will increase the competitiveness. Okay. Strict IPR and environmental rules have also been detrimental in the TPP policy. India is a developing country, so the IPR and the environmental rules are openly flouted. Okay, so these member countries of TPP, they can say that India is producing goods which do not follow the environmental standards and the intellectual property rights. Okay, so basing on those grounds, India can lose some portion of its exports. So the TPP will lead to alienating India further in the global economic sphere. It also may endanger the access of market and agricultural market. Before, India was able to produce the agricultural products and process it and export it to other countries as finished goods. But with the 12 countries coming under TPP, India may lose out in this sector as well. Curb to medicines and constraints on pharmaceutical sectors will also act as a kind of non-tariff barriers, and India is hugely dependent on generic medicines and it provides cheaper medicines to the poor people. Okay, so if this kind of constraints are put on the pharmaceutical sector, this will also lead to affecting up of the medicine and the pharmaceutical sector. The TPP is having a lot of spillover effects. First of all, it will encourage other mega trade agreements such as TATIP. TATIP is Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, and this is between USA and European Union. It is called mega trade agreement only because 50% of the world GDP is included in this, and 30% of the world trade is also included. Okay, so it's a very huge thing, and it will have a very huge impact on India's economy. And after the bargaining power of India with the member countries of the TPP, it will also be affected, as these member countries, they are under the leadership of USA. Okay, so the bargaining power of India will be hampered, and the TPP will be instrumental in setting the benchmark for these sort of agreements. So in most of the agreements, India will not be able to achieve that benchmark, and it will be kept out of the agreement. So India will lose out of the economic sphere in the world. Okay, so what can India do to come out of this situation? First of all, it needs to adopt some reforms so that it can integrate the domestic economy and become a more responsive partner in the integrated economic and financial environment in the world. Okay, simply put, India needs to have some reforms in its economy so that it will become acceptable in the various economic groups and spheres in the world. Okay. Secondly, India needs to ensure that the pending free trade agreements, for instance with the European Union, they are concluded as fast as possible. Okay, so that India is not left out of this competition. Okay. India's bilateral free trade agreement with some TPP members, such as we had discussed earlier, such as in BIMSTEC. Okay, India has members such as Malaysia, Vietnam. Okay, so the bilateral free trade agreements with these kind of countries will dilute to some extent the impact of the trade diversions caused by TPP. As we discussed earlier, that India's trade diversions will be affected to the extent that $2.7 billion US. So this $2.7 billion diversion can be reduced to some extent with bilateral free trade agreements with some TPP members. Okay, so today we discussed in a comprehensive manner about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Okay, so if you like this video, please like, share, comment and subscribe to the channel StudyIQ, and stay tuned for more awesome videos like this. Thank you.